For decades, the shadow of left-wing extremism stretched across India, marked by fear, violence, and devastating ambushes. Today, that shadow is receding. The government proudly claims that out of 125 districts once affected by Maoist violence, only 3 now retain any trace of terror. This unprecedented change is the result of relentless security pressure and a strategic policy shift that has led to the death, capture, and mass defection of the insurgency's top brass.
The red zone, which was earlier from Pashupati to Tirupati. Pashupati is in Nepal and Tirupati is in Andhra. That red zone corridor has shrunk to 4,200 square kilometers in 2024, and it's in 2025 after Operation Kagar has started. It has further shrunk to a few hundred kilometers, only restricted to Chhattisgarh and parts of Andhra-Odisha border and parts of Jharkhand. So with this, while the area is shrinking, the cadres are also shrinking.
In November 2025, top Naxal commander Hidma, who carried a 1 crore rupee bounty, was killed. The mastermind of several deadly attacks over the years on security forces, this death broke the back of a movement already in decline. Hidma's capture or killing had been elusive for years. Security forces didn't even have a proper picture of him until recently. His death, viewed by agencies as the last nail in the coffin, followed the earlier critical blow of the death of General Secretary Basavaraju in May. While commanders were being eliminated, others defected. One of the most significant mass surrenders taking place in Gadchiroli in Maharashtra in October, where Politburo senior Bhupati surrendered with 60 cadres. This defection crisis spread rapidly. Commander Surinder, alias Kabir, known as India's most wanted Maoist with 77 lakh rupee as a bounty, surrendered in Madhya Pradesh. The largest single surrender saw 210 PLGA fighters lay down arms in Chhattisgarh, led by Commander Satish. The government's counter-insurgency effort transitioned from purely armed confrontation to a two-pronged strategy: intensified operations and open peace platforms. Recognizing that many cadres want to return to a normal life, the government heavily redesigned the rehabilitation policy.
They said they were all youths in their early 20s. They were fed up with the forest life. They also wanted a mobile phone in their hands, and they also wanted to scroll down the reels, and they wanted to go to malls and explore the other side of their life instead of choosing a forest life, which is so uncertain.
The program now offers employment, training, from construction to farming, stipends, education, and homes under PMAY. Crucially, the policy addresses the family issues faced in the jungle. Maoists can undergo reverse vasectomy so they can start families. Surrendered cadres are now integrating into society, receiving jobs in the hospitality sector, such as the Cafe Pandum in Jagdalpur, or being part of Bastar Olympics, where surrendered Maoists also take part. The shift is visible on the ground. Villages once known as strongholds of terror are now unfurling the tricolour with pride. While the government continues its drive toward the March 2026 deadline, a handful of top commanders like Devji remain active.